The country's most unpredictable man can be accurately predicted using a 5,000-year-old science. Astrology can explain who stays and who goes within the Trump administration. I didn't believe any of this stuff myself. I was the top skeptic. And yet, all the while, over and over, patterns, sequences, statistical anomalies, all kept popping up. And more, astrology offered an explanation, or mathematics, or just plain reasoning didn't. After recently hitting a milestone birthday, I found myself reflecting on my most notable relationships. I've been on a lot of dates, and over those 20 years, developed 7 significant relationships. You see, I'm an Earth sign. I do best with fellow Earth signs. And sure enough, of my most notable, longest relationships, with the exception of one Libra that seemed to sneak in there, all the rest of them were long-term and based with other fellow Earth signs. If astrology accurately predicted my dating relationships, might it also predict other things, such as entertainment, sports, even politics? And as I started to explore further, the 2016 election was all the rage. You couldn't turn on a TV without hearing about the 2 candidates. What are the chances that a man like Trump, a very strong Gemini, would have elicited the support of 3 names from completely different walks of life, Giuliani, Gingrich, and Pence, and have all of them likewise be Geminis? The air signs through and through are supporting this man, whereas the water signs, or potentially the earth signs, seem to be most critical of him. Sure enough, Trump ends up winning the presidency and in quick order is forced to put together a cabinet. My same intuition starts to take hold and starts to predict of those that were rushed into his cabinet, or the political space in general, which of them were going to stick around, and more likely, which of them were going to be pushed aside. Using nothing more than their birthday and their corresponding star sign, skeptical me started to look into the prediction of who was actually going to last. And one to the next, the predictions started to hold true. The very few air signs stuck around: Kellyanne Conway, Giuliani, Newt Gingrich, Vladimir Putin, Mike Pence, whereas all the others, the fire, earth, and water signs, started to push by the wayside. Spicer, Comey, Priebus, Bannon, Scaramucci. Trump's overwhelming Gemini energy is only exempting fellow air signs from his relentless attacks. For added validation, take a look at all the presidents and vice presidents, dating all the way back to, say, my birth, right back to the 70s. In every case where a president chose his vice president, they were astrologically compatible. Just like Pence and Trump are a pair, so too astrologically were the ones that came before. Obama and Biden, Clinton and Gore, Bush and Quayle, Reagan and Bush. And then finally behind that, you've got Carter and Mondale, as well as Ford and eventually Rockefeller, byproduct of the Nixon impeachment. And when you carry that one step further and say, okay, well, what's the probability of randomly choosing an astrological match 7 times in a row? You'd say, well, it's 1 in 4 to the 7th power. That's the probability of each of these presidents dating back to the 70s, just randomly going and choosing who they're going to be partnered with. As ridiculous as that statistic seems to the layman, astrologers would say it's really not that improbable. Marriages, business partnerships, sports partnerships, each and every one of them that seem to be consistently working well, they found their respective astrological match. And you can see the success of a Charlie Munger and a Warren Buffett, for example, Tom Brady and a Bill Belichick. What if I told you these events, they're not simply coincidence, but rather nothing is random? The sun warms our planet, grows our plants, and sustains life as we know it. In fact, a beautiful sunny day or lack thereof will often influence our mood. The universe, likewise with its billions of stars, produces tremendous energy. And that energy, quite simply, influences how we feel and even who we get along with. If we recognize that the universe, or astrology, has an influence in my romantic past, the political environment around us, or even everyday happenings, wouldn't you be curious to know more? Curious to know how it may influence your life too? If you do, feel free to check out our website. You'll find the link just below.